Hi, Ben Llewellyn, welcome to my channel. Today I'm asking a random question with a random answer. How did the letter M get to Wales? Where does it come from? Stick around, we'll find out. The indigenous word for Wales, Cymru, has the word M in the middle of it. It's actually the most important part etymologically. It brings the two parts together and it means our country, basically. Subscribe, like. How did this letter, which brings together the word which means Wales in Welsh, get there? To begin this story, we have to go back 4,000 years, all the way to Egypt and in the middle of the desert in the Sinai Peninsula. The Egyptians didn't write with an alphabet, they wrote with symbols, glyphs, and the Egyptian symbol for water was this wavy thing, and you can see it sort of looks like an M if you cut it up into bits, but it wasn't used like that. It wasn't used as a letter in a series of letters to make a word. That took something really remarkable to happen. You had tribes that had been taken as prisoners of war from Israel and Canaan and present-day Lebanon, and they were forced to mine turquoise, this beautiful object here. The Egyptians weren't going to do it themselves. They had slaves and prisoners of war. That's what you did back then. Get to it. These prisoners of war spoke an early ancient form of Hebrew, Proto-Semitic, and at Serabit al-Khadim they were forced to mine this turquoise. And these various tribes needed ways to communicate with each other, we presume. The earliest surviving alphabetic writing script we have is from Serabit al-Khadim. And they began taking these glyphs from the Egyptians, who would have spoken a different language to them. And they began making words with these glyphs in their own language. And one of those was this glyph for water they took to make the sound mm. And that would have sounded like in this graffiti that they etched into stone as whilst they were being imprisoned and forced to work this turquoise. Gradually these people went back to Israel and Canaan, and it grew into a script of Proto-Hebrew. Probably comes because in Semitic languages there tends to be a connection with the sound and the word for water. For example, present-day Hebrew has maim as the word for water. And they took this back to Israel, as we know the history of the Exodus and all that stuff. And in the north, above that, you had Phoenician developing, another Semitic language closely related. And you can see this letter in Hebrew would have been an early form, an attempt at it. But it was the Phoenicians who really pushed this new letter as something that they incorporated into a growing script, and they spread it around the Mediterranean. They traded with Greece, and it expanded onto the Greek mainland. And the Greeks, well, they're like, well, we have to do it our own way. So they made a small change to the letter M. They changed the letter M. Now they sent the letter M in all directions. They sent it east and north, which will eventually adopt it in Cyrillic and Russian, and they developed it going west as they colonized parts of present-day Sicily and Italy and so on. And one of the peoples that lived in these regions were the Etruscans. And they weren't Romans. They spoke a pre-Indo-European language like the Basques, but they took this letter and they changed it again to suit their own needs and purposes for their own writing. But it had definitely the Greek influence. The Etruscans loved the Greek culture. The Romans expanded and assimilated the Etruscans and took the letter M with them into their language. Now how that got from Rome all the way to Cymru or Wales, well, see my Gaulish videos. You can see Rome conquered all of present-day France, and then after that they came up into Britain, and the native Britons, they had a very different language to the Romans, of course. the learning would have been in Latin at the time, and the alphabet was just transferred over into Brythonic, which became Welsh, and it entered into Cymru. So there you go. Hey, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.